like water, like water, your love washes over me.
It was this picturesque hideaway in Poconos, house full of black women, writers like myself, right? Composers, painters, multidisciplinary, intergenerational.
It sounds like Black Girl Magic.
It was all of that. It was just a perfect place, to hone your craft, exchange ideas, really settle into the groove.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it couldn't have been a more perfect place. It's something I've had to contend with a lot in my work. What am I afraid of? And why and how can I not only recognize it or name it, but go a step further and learn from it.
Yeah.
Grow.
You did some deep work.
Oh, yes, definitely deep work, because when you become vulnerable, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Now, these are the sort of discussions we had at the retreat. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I want to know.
It was deep, but it got deeper. There was this moment that was really poignant for a few of us. You may be familiar with Cynthia Chadwick, right? The actress and singer Cynthia Chadwick.
Yes.
Well, she was actually present at the retreat as well.
Everybody who listens is pretty familiar with her.
Yeah. Well, she was there. She participated in a few of the discussion groups we had. We were all sharing, right? Really, really opening up to each other. She got real vulnerable, right? And she told us about this really significant moment in her life that she's never started blaming herself for. It was a very, very intense moment. Yeah. And I talk about it in my book, though. I do. And it really did have an impact on me. And I try to capture the feeling that I experienced. And I am sure the others who were present did as well.
Listen, everybody, Black Horizon, the 29th, it's coming out nationwide. Every version of this thing is coming out. I'm going to get my ebook. Everybody that's listening should cop theirs. I'm ready. Black Horizon, y'all.
We have a problem. Hi there. Can I get a medium chai latte, a large double mocha shot espresso, and 2 vegan wraps? That's all.
Yeah, yes, of course. Staying or to go?
To stay.
Well, it'll be right up.
Okay.
Muffin, on the house.
Oh, thank you. I love that top.
I fell in love with a daydream, and she was beautiful, impeccable.
I got you an absurdly large muffin.
That's so kind.
Can't say I never done anything for you.
On the house?
Yup.
Figures. So what do you think about environmentalism?
To invest in?
climate change, global warming, wildlife, the whole shebang.
It'd be great to get behind. DiCaprio's big in it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know why we didn't think of that before.
That's investment diversification right there. There's so many avenues we can go in.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because I have a couple things I want to run by you. I would like to change the direction I'm going in. I would like to start by increasing my annual contributions to the Kind Fund, St. Jude's, FEMA, and other nonprofits. When the holidays come around, I always feel guilty because I've been on tour or in production for the last couple of years around that time. And clearly it makes more sense to do it now because things are going so well. In terms of branding, since these are the organizations that have received me so well, I think it's time to start thinking of me as the face of one of them, or something. Ideally, Lynette would be involved in this conversation, and I actually find it a little frustrating that I have to do her job for her, but it'd be great if you could let her and her team know that that's where my head's at. Now, this last one is a biggie, but the idea is eventually starting a foundation of my own, the Cynthia Chadwick Foundation, partnering with a nonprofit that makes sense, and then pushing for more outreach. Now, I know that this feels like a lot, but if you think of it in terms of a 5-year plan, I think it's feasible. So that's where my head's at. Not that this recent Twitter backlash and being donned Donkey of the Day by Charlemagne didn't help to put things in perspective. This whole hashtag Cynthia shows us no love is annoying. And it's the same old critics fanning the flames, saying that I don't do enough or give back to the lower income community. And it all stems from that stunt back in Wisconsin. Remember when I was working and they published that interview with Principal Edwards just throwing a tantrum because I didn't have time to visit the school? She has a personal vendetta against me. We need to push back from that and just change the conversation. Yeah. Oh my God. They're saying I killed someone.
Oh my God. I'm calling your lawyer. And we need to get Lynette on the line so she can finally make herself useful. We need to issue a response and get a hold of this thing before it goes too far. Hi, Peter. Yeah, Sasha. I'm assuming you've heard. Mm-hmm.
Hey everyone, Curtis Caesar John back here. Thank you again for being with us. Thank you for your donations. I said, we're a little bit over $2,000 right now. We have about $6,000 to go. So please, if you like what you're seeing, please give. If you believe in our mission, please give. If you believe in us giving back to the community through exhibiting black cinema directly to black communities, we do so in very innovative ways. And those innovative ways aren't always cheap because we often do them for free in order to allow access to these films, unencumbered access to independent films. So if you give, we can give. It's really that simple. So next we're about to go into, if you were here with us earlier in our 12 o'clock hour, we had shown our interview series Beyond the Cut with black filmmakers in Brooklyn, New York specifically. The first one was with Shaka King, really illuminative. This next one is with Ngyatu Jusu, whose film Suicide by Sunlight has been, well, her films have been very popular for many times over the years, mostly shorts, but she actually just completed her first feature, Nanny, that co-stars Priscilla Rashad and a number of other people, and she's going to be one of the next big names. But we believed in her from jump, and so we decided when we were putting together that series that we had to sit down with someone like Ngyatu to get her story told, so people can understand who she is beyond her films and what motivates her to make the types of films that she does. So that's coming up right next. I'm going to show part one of that, and then we're going to go into another film, actually from the filmmakers of The Retreat. It's called Anthology. It's brand new. So it's from Ashley Denise and from Ricky Lene. And so check that out. That's all coming up within this next hour. Be right back.
Ngyatu Jusu is a Sierra Leonean American filmmaker whose short films have played at film festivals nationally and internationally, garnering her NYU's prestigious Spike Lee Fellowship Award, the Princess Grace Foundation Narrative Film Grant, and Directors Guild of America honorable mentions. Her screenplay Free to Town was one of 12 projects invited to participate in Sundance Institute's first diverse writers workshop. Presently, Ngyatu is in development on her feature film, Flowers, the short film rendition of which she co-wrote and co-directed with Yvonne Shirley. Flowers recently won the 2016 HBO Short Film Competition at the American Black Film Festival and is currently touring the film festival circuit. Ngyatu studied narrative filmmaking at New York University's MFA film program and also teaches filmmaking full-time. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ngyatu Jusu.
Obviously from the short little presentation, you have a great array of work that you put out already, and we're really just looking forward to all the future things you're doing. And but I still always kind of felt like there's folks should know a little more about who you are and what you do, especially living and working here in Bedford-Stuyvesant community. I see how that's influenced your work in a short amount of time, and it continues to. So thank you for taking the time to share with us about all that. Let's just get right into it. I know you didn't grow up here in New York. You grew up in Atlanta, right? Can Can you
Yes.
share with us a little bit about how your life was growing up there, a daughter of African immigrants, right?
It was an interesting mixture of influences. Atlanta now is notorious for reality TV and ratchet behavior. But you know, growing up there, I definitely was very much influenced by, you know, hip hop culture, style, a very thriving Black community. You could go to a really nice restaurant and expect to see at least a third of the clientele be Black. And then to be insulated in an African household where I was very much taught to be proud of who I am and strive for excellence. It was a combination that made me very ambitious and fearless. So I appreciate both influences a lot.
And I'm going to assume, tell me if I'm wrong, that that influence really had a strong effect on your first film, as African Booty Scratcher?
Yes.
Yes.
I cannot escape that
No,
film.
you can't.
People still ask me about. Yeah, so I went to both private and public schools. So for high school, I ended up going to a predominantly white private school, but before that, I was very much immersed in public school. And I will say, in my public school atmosphere, once people found out I was African, yes, I was called African Booty Scratcher numerous times. I was made fun of. But also, it just made me aware of this dissonance between African Americans, Caribbean Americans, Africans. You know, there was this, that we weren't just all Black. You know what I mean? So that was really interesting to me growing up at a young age, realizing that just being African or just being Black was not a monolithic identity. Like, people had very distinct identities, and there was a separation for various reasons. So I wanted to explore that in my first film because it was just so prevalent growing up, being exposed to that.
And so in that film, you used her prom dress as kind of the, I want to, maybe inciting incident, you know, for her to think more about her identity on whether, you know, she should be representing herself as a proud African woman, girl, or, you know, whether she should go, you know, to the traditional route or the American traditional route. Was that kind of like a true story, or is it just something that you made up to really try to reflect?
It was very founded in my experiences. So growing up, you know, every culture deals with this, whether to wear traditional wear or to assimilate a little more. But now it's, you know, it's all the rage. So it's easy now to don whatever traditional attire you ascribe to. But yeah, growing up, that was an issue for me. I did end up wearing African attire to my prom, and I did have a friend who was willing to throw rose petals. I gave her an African outfit, and we did the whole coming to America thing. So, yeah, it's something that now as an adult and now in the current state of affairs, it's easy to embrace African fashion, Caribbean fashion, Indian fashion. It's really easy to embrace these things because they're being culturally appropriated by the mainstream.
And it seems like it's cyclical because at times it is, and then even that depends on where you live, right? So
yeah.
So moving on a little from, you know, your youth in Atlanta to college. So you didn't always want to be a filmmaker.
No.
Like, what did you originally? You went to Duke originally?
Yeah, I went to Duke for undergrad.
Yeah.
And I was always a writer, so I was always artistically motivated in terms of writing and storytelling. But Duke is where I cemented my desire to pursue filmmaking because Duke actually has a lot of athletes, as some of you might or might not know. And primarily the Black male demographic are athletes at Duke. And you know, certain classes were notorious for being easy A's to fulfill certain requirements. And usually they were like 70% athletes. So one such class that was, I think, an English requirement was a screenwriting class. And so I stumbled into the screenwriting class to fulfill requirements, and I fell in love. And it was actually not easy at all. You had to write a feature script, which is not easy. So that's how I stumbled into filmmaking my sophomore year of college. I actually went to do for biomedical engineering because I have African parents. It ended up being a really enlightening and spiritually fulfilling course for me. Like I figured out that I found an avenue to how I wanted to express myself. But then the next step was to actually make the films that I wrote. So that was just the inciting incident to falling in love with filmmaking.
So, and just to let everyone know, we took questions in advance.
Oh, good.
From social media
Okay.
and from different audience, from different people who just couldn't be here, from different places.
Yeah.
So, with that, I want to go to a question from Twitter. It's actually from Stage 32, at Stage 32, the organization.
Okay.
And it feeds right into what we're talking about now. So when did filmmaking actually become your passion? When did it become your passion for life?
When I took it's not as simple as just saying I took a course and I fell in love. The teacher, Elizabeth Bentley, really took to me and really just was like, you have a storytelling ability, you should pursue this. And so that's why now that I'm a teacher, it's just so amazing to come full circle when you have people in your life growing up who inspired you through education, being able to give back to that in that sense. But my screenwriting teacher was really rooting for me, and I already liked writing, and now I could write and bring the visuals to life. So it was kind of an organic process at that point. I just needed the exposure, and I think that a lot of us just don't get the exposure soon enough to pursue filmmaking, or think that we can pursue filmmaking.
Exactly. So with that, do you have to continuously make a conscious effort to incorporate your world as a woman, as a Sierra Leonean American, into your work? Does that inform your filmmaking?
I always think such an interesting question because, as my fellow filmmaker Shaka once said on a panel, white men are never really asked, does your white masculinity influence your work? I just think it's a legitimate question, and it's just an organic. Whoever you are, if you know who you are and you're true to yourself, it's going to leak into your every facet of your life. So it's not something that I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking consciously about I have to represent a Sierra Leonean, I have to represent a Black woman. It's who I am, and that's what I want to see on the screen. I want to see reflections of myself on the screen.
So it's completely natural.
Yes, it's a very organic process.
And which is why your work is so diverse. Because even from the clip that you showed before, it was somewhat intentional, but very easy to show that in your work, your protagonists, mostly women, at this point at least, right?
Always women.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
It's not a mistake.
Intrinsic, obviously Black women, they're not trying to hide it. Not that obviously, Black folks coming over to different shades,
right,
and everything, but,
not ambiguous.
Not ambiguous, thank you, exactly, So,
exotical, as they call them in the music video world.
Yes, they do, don't they?
Yeah. Nothing wrong with exoticals at all.
So then, do you think, and this is I just want to get your opinion on this, how deep do you think not necessarily your work, because in your work, like you just said, it's obvious, but do you continue to see a strong identity struggle within, and I don't want to say in Black filmmaking, but within filmmaking, for culture to represent themselves, I just want to say properly, but honestly is the best way.
I think specifically, it got louder, good. I think specifically I can obviously speak mostly to Black women. Sure. I think that we have to battle with so many false obligations when we're creating our characters. For instance, she can't be too whorish, she can't be too this. You know, we have these outside influences telling us who our characters can be. And I think that we have to unburden ourselves from that and just show really authentic, nuanced Black women characters. For instance, one of the projects I'm pursuing right now is very